Thank you, guys. Can everybody hear at the back? Yeah, brilliant, thank you. All right, we're going to do there's going to be some participation in this, right? So you better get used to it, okay? I'm going to wake you all up a little bit. But I have to say, I'm not going to wake you up as much as my social media just woke up. I already got about 6 messages saying, dude, you're a Wookiee. So editor, thank you for casting me as the Wookiee this morning. I enjoyed that. So in my day job, I'm really lucky, right? I get to work with and talk to lots of executives around the world about their strategy and how you're going to implement that through projects. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about navigating executives' expectations. And we're going to touch on topics of AI and technology. And we're going to touch very briefly on the themes of the conference. So projectized, digitized, and connected. Now, as I came on, you may have noticed there was a really nice kind of cowboy song going on, right? Everybody like that? Okay. Can you all, every single person, hands up? Now, I do this because what I learned last year is that sometimes, no, keep them up, keep them up, keep them up. Okay? Is that in some regions, people don't like putting their hands up. Come on, hands up in the middle here. There we go. Okay, fabulous. So put your hand down if you spot, no, not yet, put him up. Put your hand down if you spotted that the music that played as I came on was generated by AI. Wow, look at that. That is incredible. Thank you. You can put your hands down now. Oh, very obedient. I like this. I've got control of a whole audience. Hands up. Hands down. Yeah, I like it. Okay. So yeah, that tune was created by AI. I gave it a prompt. It wrote the music. It wrote the words. It recorded it. Here it is. It's pretty good, yeah? Now, the reason I started with that is I want to kind of get across a couple of ideas. First of all, the velocity of development is incredible. If we'd done this experiment 2 years ago, everyone would have spotted that it was AI. It would have been terrible. And now, 15%-ish, put your hands down. Right, that's amazing progress. Right, so it is amazing. But did that sound like Mark Knopfler to you and Dire Straits? It didn't to me. That's what the prompt was. I asked it for a Mark Knopfler style song about a cowboy, right? So AI is amazing, but it's not finished yet. I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more tomorrow in the workshop, and looking at, as project leaders, PMO leaders, how you can leverage AI, when you should leverage AI, what you need to be careful of, that kind of thing. It's going to be very hands-on. You're doing most of the work. We're just kind of going to stand at the front and take all the credit. Okay, let's jump into the presentation. Projectized. We live in the project economy. Okay, this is a phrase that was coined by Antonio Rodriguez, and he really talks about how everything is about projects these days. Everything is transforming, and it's all about projects. And I want to illustrate that with a very quick example. Okay, so 3 companies. Which of these is the biggest car company in the world? Who thinks Toyota? Hands up if you think Toyota. Okay, thank you. Hands up if you think Volkswagen. Okay, what about Tesla? Who thinks Tesla is the biggest company in the world? Vilya, you're very smart. I'll tell you why you're very smart. Because all 3 of them are the biggest company in the world. It depends whether you mean the biggest revenue, the most cars, or the biggest valuation. Okay? And so we're going to focus on Volkswagen. We'll come back to this slide later on. We're going to focus on Volkswagen. And I wanted to just pull out from their letter to the shareholders. This is the chairman's letter to the shareholders. And what you'll see in there is that he talks about the business outcomes, right? These are the things the executives really care about. These are the things the shareholders care about, the board cares about. So we delivered more cars. We delivered more revenue and more profit. We delivered more cash to the business, right? These are the things that the business cares about. But then, in the shareholders' letter, right, and they only write one of these a year, and they spend weeks drafting and redrafting. They put loads of effort into the letter to the shareholders. So right here in the letter to the shareholders, he then starts to talk about how they're doing that. So we're focusing on, we're on a journey towards electrification. Guess how they're doing that? Projects. He talks about how their top 10 programs, projects, are driving the company forward. So if anybody here doesn't really get that the whole economy now is driven by projects, then you're kind of missing it. Right? Projects really are the heart of everything in business. And there's kind of a key point here, is that the letter starts with the business outcomes, right? It starts with the revenue. It starts with profit. It starts with those things. If you're a government agency, it would start with the services you're delivering to the community. If you're a non-profit, it would start with the services and the value that you're delivering to your stakeholders, right? But it starts with the goals. And then he talked about how we get there. And projects are the how. Okay, that's a really key point. So I want to tell you a story. Some of you in the room have heard this story before, but I make no apologies because it's a really, really good one. It gets the message across. A friend of mine, a chap called Roberto Camanho, he's a senior consultant in Brazil. And he was presenting his project to the CEO of one of the world's biggest oil and gas companies. And he was telling him about here's my Gantt chart, here's my burn down report, right? Geek out on project stuff. And the CEO stopped him and he says, Roberto, I don't care if you have a boy duck or a girl duck. I don't care about your project. I don't care about the details. I don't care whether it's waterfall or agile or Wagifall or banana scrum split or whatever it is. I don't care. All I care about is the eggs. Show me the value of the project. Make sense? Make sense? Okay. So this is the only thing executives care about. I'm the CEO of a very small company, and this is all I care about. And when my guys start telling me about all the details of the beautiful architecture and the technology, I don't care. Show me the eggs. All right, so we've actually answered the main question. Right? What do executives want? Well, they want bigger eggs. They want more eggs. And they want you to break fewer eggs. That's an important one. So I propose to you that you all go back. So actually, very quick show of hands. Who's in the PMO here? Okay, all right. So all those guys who just put their hands up, I want you to go back to the office on Monday and go find your boss and tell him you want a new job description, okay? Because every PMO on the planet should have the same job description. It's a really simple job description, right? The job description is to maximize the return on investment from your portfolio. That's it. Maximize the eggs. And what you do to do that will change depending on the context, depending on your maturity and all that kind of good stuff. But ultimately, as a PMO leader, your job, and as a project, if you're in project management, there's lots of project managers here today as well. If you're leading projects, your goal is to deliver eggs. Not to deliver projects, to deliver eggs. Make sense? Do we think we're doing a good job? No, not really. No. Around half projects fail to deliver the business results. Around 2/3 are late, 2/3 are over budget. It's not good. We've all seen these before. So if we want to improve these numbers, there are only really two things that we can do as an organization. Right? You get to decide whether to spend your time and energy on executing projects better. All those methodologies and templates and all that kind of good stuff, send people on training, right? You can do that. You can put your energy there. Or you can put it into more strategic thinking, thinking about eggs, and doing things that are focused on maximizing the eggs, portfolio management-y type things. And I'm going to use a metaphor around football. Do you like my ducks, by the way? Yeah, they're kind of cool, aren't they? So these little fellas are all AI generated, if you hadn't guessed. And I can tell you how I did that tomorrow in the workshop. So we're going to so it's a bit like in football, right? If you want to get on the team, you can train really hard to run faster and to get fitter. But you know what? You can only get so fit. Your body, especially if your body's shaped the way mine is, right? There's only so much you can do with a body like this. But if you invest in skills, in those football skills, those ball handling skills, the accuracy of shooting, all those things, if you use those and you can combine them in lots of different ways, you can just get better and better and better and better. There's no upper limit. So let's apply that in project management. So if you choose to focus on chasing perfect project execution with more and more templates and process, right? Well, when you start that journey, because you do need to do this, you do need to improve, have good project hygiene. So when you start the journey, right, you put some effort into it, and you get some benefit, right? Projects are more successful, or more projects are successful. So you put more effort in. There we go. And more projects are successful, but we're not getting as much extra value out of that effort as we did from the first effort we put in. So we put more effort in. We try even harder to be perfect at project execution. But now we're not getting much return on that at all. You see that? So this is the law of diminishing returns. Has anybody heard of that before? The law of diminishing returns. It basically means when you invest more and more and more into an activity, you get less and less incremental value from it. So this is like the guy who's trying to get fitter and stronger and fitter and stronger. And eventually, if you train too hard, you actually do damage to your body, and you can perform less well. Same thing happens here. If you put in place too much process, too many templates, you actually slow down project delivery, not accelerate it. Now, the keen observers will have spotted that I've put an upper limit at 70% success rate, right? 70% of projects being successful. Well, surely if you're really good at executing projects, that number should be 100%. Well, the data tells a different story. This is PMI data, project success rates. The top line is how many projects deliver the egg. Okay, it's how many projects actually achieve the business goal. And you'll see that for about the last 20 years, it's sort of hovered around 60 to 70%. Okay? And would anybody like to shout out? Lithuania is not a very shouty-outy country, but we'll try this. Give it a go. Would anybody like to shout out, how much do you think we spend as an industry on PPM tools? Is Ivan in the room? I don't want to embarrass him. Okay. How much do you think we spend on PPM tools? Anybody? $1 million? $1 billion? Getting closer. Okay, that's a big number, isn't it? $7–8 billion on PPM tools, plus training, PMI certifications, AIPM certifications, right, and all the training that goes with that. We're spending billions on this. But that number's flat. That 70% seems to be kind of an upper limit on how fast we can run, just focusing on delivering projects. Now, I'm cautiously optimistic. Turning to the digitized bit, there are new technologies coming along that will let you, I hope, find incremental gains in productivity so we can at least do a few more projects, even if we can't push that percentage up. And maybe some of the AI stuff can do things people can't do, in terms of, I don't know, predicting failure in projects, things like that, okay? So maybe over the next few years, that percentage will increase, and we'll explore some of these ideas tomorrow at the workshop. Did I mention there's a workshop tomorrow? Okay. All right, so let's figure out, right, if just project execution isn't going to fix it, what will? And to do that, we're going to look at project failure. So projects going over budget, over time, etc. So why? Who gets the blame when a project's late? Project managers, thank you very much. So the project manager gets the blame. So you go to the project manager and you say, dude, what's up? And they say, listen, I've got my certification, I know what I'm doing, I've got my Gantt chart, I've got all of this stuff, I'm actually doing an okay job. The problem is those darn delivery resources, isn't it? Yeah, they're always late. So you go and you talk to those delivery resources, you say, what's going on, guys? Why are we late? And what do they say? Anyone? Yeah, I've got too much work. Right? The reason I can't give you your deliverable is I've got 13 other deliverables. I've got 13 other deliverables that I'm also due, right? Tasks, and I finish one task, and you give me 2 more tasks. Right? So if I've got 13, divide me by 13. What's that? That's about that, right? How much of a project can I get done with that much of my time? Not much, right? I can't deliver anything. So fundamentally, projects are going over, they're failing because resources are overloaded. Why? Why are resources overloaded? Is it because of resource management? No. We can assign tasks to people. It's simply because we've got too much work. Now, we've got to talk about this too much work thing. So the American Psychology Association did an interesting study where they looked at when people are overloaded, right? They start multitasking. Does anybody here multitask? Does anybody feel like they have to multitask? Okay, you're all wrong. You don't multitask. You task switch. You go from task to task to task. Human beings aren't really capable of multitasking in the way that we talk about it. But the key thing is, when you are task switching, you're losing up to 40% of your capacity. You're losing it to task switching. So that's impacting how much work you can actually deliver. So why is this happening? Because we have too many projects, obviously, too much work on. So why is that happening? Well, it's happening because our prioritization and governance processes are broken. It's got nothing to do with delivering the project management, and it's got everything to do with the governance and portfolio management. The projects are being set up to fail before they've even begun. Okay? That's kind of cool. So if we want to fix this, I want to fix the failure, we have to go and fix the governance stuff. And this is what I mean when I'm talking about developing the skills, right? Those football skills, is developing these skills on the left-hand side from your point of view of the screen. So we're going to look at 4 skills that you can go and implement in your organization really quickly. Number 1, prioritization. There's a special tool called AHP. We don't have time to go through all the details. A tool called AHP that will help you do that. You can see 20% waste in your portfolio today. Right, now, AHP is really good at getting your stakeholders bought in. So if your strategy as a car company is to be the biggest in the world, your different execs are going to try and achieve different goals. So we have to get them aligned before we can start picking our investment. That's what AHP does for you. And doing prioritization right will help drive out 10, 20% of the waste, right? So it's a 10 to 20% saving. Huge return on investment from doing that, improvement in ROI. Second, okay, this chart's fun. On that vertical axis is how much business value do you deliver? Horizontal axis, utilization rate of your resources. If you do no projects, you don't use people, right? Utilization rate's low, but we're not delivering any value. So what do? We add some projects. Great. We add projects, our utilization rate goes up, but we're delivering more business value. So what do we do next? We add more projects. And then the executives get excited and they say, let's go for 100% utilization. Can't do better than that, right? But unfortunately, as we add more projects, something funny happens. This is right around 80–85% utilization. What happens is that you start competing for those resources, right? You get that resource competition. And so if you add more projects, you don't get more value, you get less. Okay, so if you have too many projects, you're getting less value. Most organizations are all the way over there. But fear not, technology is coming to the rescue. You can now have, there's AI available from companies now that will help put you on top of that hill, will help optimize your portfolio to maximize the value from the resources you have. So it's overlaying the resources on top of prioritization to allow you to select the portfolio that adds the most value. Number 3. Most organizations have at least 2 portfolios, keeping the lights on over here on the left and the business growth on the right. Who thinks your executives care about this portfolio most? Anyone? No, you see, you didn't fall for it. Okay. So the execs only care about this one on the right. But most organizations have most of their investment going in over here. So what would happen if we just took some of that investment and moved it across? Well, first of all, we are going to reduce the value that we deliver over there. But you know what? Your execs don't care. Probably won't even notice. But what happened over here is we've doubled the amount of resource that we've just put into this portfolio. So we get a really big increase in value. And it's the value your execs care about. Okay? So rebalancing is your 3rd skill. 4th skill, sequencing. So when you run projects, right? Does this look familiar? You're going from project to project, project, and eventually, right over here on the left-hand side, right-hand side for you, you deliver some value. Okay, here's an idea. Let's not do this anymore. Let's do this. Let's start projects when we have the resources to deliver, right? Let's sequence them, stagger them. When you do that, 2 amazing things happen. First of all, we're not multitasking. We're not task switching. So we get 40% back, so we can do more projects for free. The second thing is we're delivering projects much earlier. We're getting to value much earlier. So we're delivering those eggs much earlier. The business is going to love it. And again, historically, this has been difficult to do. AI makes it work, right? So there are AI techniques out there now and tools that will help you do this really, really quickly. So let's put it together super quickly. If this is how much you're putting into those skills now, those PMO skills now, right, you're getting a bit of value. But then you go in and you fix prioritization, you get a bit more value. You layer in rebalancing, you're getting even more value. We layer in increasing capacity by putting yourself on top of the hill and staggering, right? And the difference here is that that curve's going up. The more skills you do, the value compounds, it multiplies together. And there's no real upper limit to this, in contrast to focusing on project execution where there is a natural limit. All right, and the key enabler of this, actually, of all of that, is prioritization at the beginning. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get the prioritization right. So now you get to decide, now you've seen that, where should you put your energy? Right? You have to do some project, you have to do the basics, you have to have decent project execution. But if you really want to maximize the eggs for your organization, I would suggest you focus over here in the yellow zone on those PMO skills. Make sense? Make sense? Yes! Well, I hope so anyway. All right. Really quickly, you have an opportunity today to go and meet people. There are lots of people in this room. If you're at the back and if you're sitting on your own, shame on you. Today is about having adventures, talking to people, right? Take a risk. Just wander up to someone and say, what do you do? Learn something from them. Go talk to the vendors who are out there. A lot of the innovation that's happening right now is happening in the vendor space. It's the vendors who are doing the innovation. So today is a golden opportunity to go engage with those vendors and learn what they're doing. And also, there are some great books. Tip, right? Connected doesn't just mean people real time. Connect with experts through books. So I know both Dawn and Heber, they're both fabulous people. If you're a project manager or a PMO leader, this book on the left is great. It's all about stakeholder management, lots of fun. Heber El-Shehi, 2 times winner of PMO Lead of the Year. Her book on leadership is a mixture of poetry, art, and wisdom, and I recommend it to you heartily. This book's already out. This one's out shortly. And that's it. Now, before I give up, because they're going to pull me off stage any minute now, if you scan this QR code, fill in the form, you can come to my booth and collect yourself a little rubber duck, right? And they're crazy. They're silly rubber ducks. And what I want you to do with that is take it back to your office and use it to change the culture of project delivery, right? So you're not talking about detail. Anytime somebody's talking about geeking out on projects and the project methodology, throw the duck at them and tell them to stop talking about the duck and to tell you about the egg and how they're going to protect the egg. So come get your rubber ducks, come see me afterwards, we'll hook you up with a duck. Thank you very much.
Stuart, thank you so much. Don't go just yet, because I'm learning from you. So, like you said, hi, Stuart, what do you do?
Well, that's a good question. My wife asks me that every day.
Yeah, so, and what's your answer?
So, when I'm not doing this, which I enjoy, by the way, when I'm not doing this, I run a company that does portfolio management. So we help companies double their ROI, double the eggs, using these portfolio management techniques and others. So that's what we do. And we work with PMOs around the world to do that.
What do you do now?
Right now?
Right now.
In this room?
Yeah.
I'm talking to somebody who can teach me something.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Now you're answering the questions on EarMeet, because we have few.
Okay, go for it.
So we're going to see those questions here on the screen. And if you have any questions for Stuart, please put your questions on EarMeet, and of course we will ask Stuart. I don't know if we have here a possibility to put you on the microphone, but if you're willing to say a couple of words, just raise your hand. We will try to share the mic, and we will hear your question as well. So, questions for Stuart. How to know what kind of egg you really need, not just want? Very good question.
It's a very good question. So the first thing, do you remember that slide where we had the 3 car companies and one was biggest volume, biggest revenue, biggest valuation? Okay. So that's a really important slide, because one of the things most people think is that the executive team know what they're doing, and they don't. Okay. The executive team are actually trying to drive you as a project delivery organization in different directions, right? They all want different eggs. And so as a PMO, one of the really key enablers is to bring those people together in a way that they can have a discussion and agree on which eggs are coming to the question, which eggs are the most important eggs for that business. So are we trying to grow revenue, or are we just trying to grow market share? Are we trying to grow, right? There are all these different goals, and you've got to figure out which goals are most important. And the AHP technique that I talked about earlier is a really, really good way to do that. So at the portfolio level, just do AHP, do it well, and you'll get everybody focused on the same eggs. At the project level, it's about scope management. And again, it's about bringing the stakeholders together and having a really frank discussion with as many stakeholders as you can get about what is the value we want from this project. And you can even use AHP to do that, by the way. But to have a conversation and to ask them to make trade-offs, not at the feature level, but at the goal level. What's this project for? And once you've got clarity over that, it's actually pretty simple then to be able to say, well, this feature and this feature and this feature support those goals. These features don't, so we're not going to do them. So start with the goals. Always start with the egg, the impact, the business benefit, and go from there.
And then somehow deal with the managers who who, as you said, they want different eggs, but maybe it's all about the old saying, do not put all the eggs in the same basket.
Absolutely, and it's about, so remember, the person who's going to judge you is the person who wasn't in the room. So bring your stakeholders into the room and have the discussion about the eggs, not about the features, because everyone will have a feature that they want, right? My feature, and it's important to me, and I'm really excited about it. But get them to talk about the business impact you're trying to achieve. Then you can look at the features in the light of that. So the more people you get involved, the better.
Next question. What is the best way to find balance between business value delivered and resources utilization? Could you please elaborate on that?
So on the slide, I made it look really simple. It's not that simple, sorry. And there are a couple of reasons for that. The first one is that you actually don't have one bucket of resources. You have lots of buckets of resources, typically different types of resources that have different skills. So it's actually really, really difficult to figure out how to balance, because you've got to pick a portfolio of projects that maximizes the eggs, right? And that AHP process, that prioritization process will tell you how big the egg is for each project. But then you've got to pick a combination of projects, given the resources you have, to maximize the value. So it's quite difficult. It's kind of a trial and error thing. But there are technologies now, my own company does some, but there are others out there that now have built AI to do that for you. And so what that means is you can go through thousands of iterations in seconds rather than an iteration every hour, which lets you find. So it's kind of a trial and error sort of thing. But you have to look at what capacity do we have, and then ask what capacity do we really have, right? Because people need training, and we expect them to be sick, and we expect them to go on vacation, and we expect them to get interrupted to deliver BAU stuff, and that demand from the CEO who just needs a report tomorrow, right? So it's about being realistic, assessing how much capacity you really have, and then iterating, figuring out what combination of projects maximizes the value but is still deliverable.
Sounds like you put multitasking on AI.
Yeah, exactly. So the AI can do that. We can't.
Yeah. How exactly can AI help in project staggering? Any tips?
So the first thing I'll say is that there are lots of different types of AI. At the minute, everybody's kind of got so hyped about ChatGPT and generative AI and all those things, right? Those ducks, the music, right? It's really exciting. I mean, it really is. But that's not the right kind of AI for many problems. So this is figuring out the staggering is actually an optimization problem. ChatGPT doesn't do that terribly well. So there are other AI algorithms, in this case, something called genetic algorithm, which is really super simple in concept anyway. And what it does effectively is it will simulate a whole bunch of different scenarios, and then it'll tweak the scenarios looking for a better one. And it'll just keep going until it can't improve it. So there's lots of different, so the first thing is there's lots of different kinds of AI. And so the kind of AI for this is something like, is an optimization algorithm, like genetic algorithm. There are a few others that you could use. But don't try and use ChatGPT to do that, because it'll fail. That's not what it's for.
Okay. Based on the presentation, in your opinion, how now to lose the focus on the process and the team who deliver those what? Eggs?
Projects. Ducks, eggs.
Eggs, yeah.
Eggs.
Yeah, if we are focused on the number of quality of eggs.
Fabulous. So part of this, I think, is about process and the processes you follow. But part of this, I think, is also about culture. So I joke about these eggs and the little rubber ducks that we've got. But I've given those rubber ducks to the chair of both the PMI and the APM and others, right? Because we need to change the culture. And told them that story about, don't care about the boy duck, girl duck, it's all about the eggs. And it starts with culture. So my biggest advice is to start simple. Start with your project managers and make sure that their kickoff meeting doesn't begin like this. We've all been in these kickoff meetings, right? Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to replace this CRM system. No, No, we're not. We're not there to replace a CRM system. We're there to grow revenue. So change your kickoff meeting and start with the egg. A really clear statement of the egg and how we're going to deliver the egg. And start there, because it's super, super simple to do. You can do that next week.
But
Anyone
will
going
you
to try?
leave with that old CRM system?
Any system, any project. If you're
Okay.
going to build a bridge, why are we building a bridge? We're building a bridge because we're building a bridge, but actually we're connecting communities. We're creating economic activity. We're helping the disadvantaged people over here access jobs over here, right?
Our time is over, but just few hints. What we're gonna expect from you tomorrow at the workshop? Because your workshop, one of those, which is absolutely overbooked.
Yeah. So it's going to be a busy couple of hours. What we're going to do is we're going to spend time looking at what is AI really, right? What's it for? What's it good for? When should you use it? When should you not use it? And what do you need to be careful of? So we're not going to do lots of rah rah rah. AI is amazing. We're going to make you do some work. We want to know what you've learned, and we're going to share it with everybody in the room.
Many thanks. Let's share a round of applause to Stuart. Thank you so much for your presentation, for your answers, and of course, we're waiting for your workshop tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.